Hey, how's it going? If you're watching this video, it's because you have probably seen one of the videos on my main channel where I play all the instruments and you're curious as to how that's done. Right now, I'm about to start making the video for Starman, and I want to just walk you through the process so you can see exactly how I do this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I've got my Pro Tools session open here. I usually go online and I find the tempo of the song that I'm going to be performing. In this case, it's about 96 and 100 BPM. There's a little bit of fluctuation because, it's a live performance. Ideally, I'd be able to do this without a click because I think it, sucks a little bit of the life out of it, but the only way that I can do multi-tracking as far as I know is if it's all to a click, or else it just gets really sloppy. So first thing that I'm going to do is record a guide guitar track where I basically give myself a few bars of count in, and then I play through the entire song and sing it just so that I create a map basically for myself, and then I'll remove the guide track, as a temp basically right at the end when I record the actual vocal take and the actual acoustic guitar. So here we go. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've listened back to my guide track, I've tried drumming along with it, and it passes the groove test for me. So now it's time to record drums. Alright, so I've got all my drum mics set up now. I've got a mono ribbon overhead, I've got a snare microphone, I've got a pencil condenser on that tom, a pencil condenser on that tom, I've got a kick out back here. This is a large diaphragm condenser, and then I've got an AKG V112 dynamic in it. I just recorded a little bit, and in general I'm happy with the way it sounds, but I'm not thrilled with the tom mics, and I might try and swap them out for some dynamics and see if I can get a better tone. Yeah, it turns out it was more of an angle issue. I've got them pointed a little more in towards the center of the drum now. Sounding pretty good. I've got the overhead and the snare drum microphone going into my ART2 preamplifier, and then everything else is just going into inputs 3, 4, 5, and 6 of my Zoom UAC8 interface. Alright, rolling take 4. Alright, so I just recorded the drums. I decided to comp together the drum part. I mean, generally my policy with recording videos is like whatever you see me playing is what you're also hearing type of thing. I will be the first to admit that drumming is not my first instrument, and so I do sometimes comp together the drum parts, and the footage may not perfectly correspond. And so now I'm set up for bass. Got my Squire J bass here with flat ones on it that I use for pretty much everything, and I've just got it running DI into my ART Pro MPA. In the original recording, they're using round wound strings, or at least I think they're using round wound strings, and this bright kind of ropey tone. I am trying to approximate that by setting the tone as bright as I can on the bass, and then I'm also playing with a pick, which gives me a lot brighter articulation than if I use my fingers. The next thing that would make sense for me to do would be the acoustic rhythm guitars, but I want to record the acoustic guitars while I'm singing, and as you may be able to hear from my voice, it's feeling a little tired right now, so I'm going to wait for a day where I'm in a little bit better voice, since I'm going to have to sing really high for this. So instead, I'm going to move on and record some of the electric guitar stuff. I've got my Blues Junior here that I record almost all of my electric guitar parts on. You can see that I've got the middle and bass cranked, the treble turned way down, and then the gain pretty high up, with just a tiny bit of reverb, and my SE Voodoo ribbon microphone in front of it there, and we're going to first lay down the rhythm guitar parts using the Telecaster. I'm recording electric guitar right now, and I've got this very crude light booth set up here, which is literally just a fluorescent light bulb with a piece of colored glass in front of it. This is my perspective as I'm filming with this light over here and this and the camera right there. I'm getting some pretty righteous tones on the solo at the end here. I'm happy with that. Hell yeah, man! That's the sound of my amp cranked way up. Next, I'm going to trade guitars, and I'm going to use the Zoov. That's going to be the main lead guitar, the one that plays the down the octave. A little bit more of a humbucker type tone to it, which I'm pretty sure is what they did that lead line on. Okay, this is a take for the main lead guitar part. This morning I want to try and shoot the rhythm acoustic guitar parts and the lead and harmony vocal parts, which I should be able to do because I've lowered the darn thing a half step, but it's still fairly high on my register, so I don't always warm up before I film videos, and if it's something low like Misty, I actually deliberately try and shoot in the morning when I'm not warmed up so that I have some extra low range. But yeah, for this one I will be warming up, definitely. Rolling video take 4. String take 1. So just like you try and clean up while you cook if you can, I've been doing a little bit of mixing as I record. So I've got pretty much everything recorded now except for the strings, and I've got just kind of a rough mix going on here. I've been going back and forth between iTunes and Pro Tools, trying to mimic the character of the original a little bit. So I'll really focus in on just the acoustic guitars in the original version, and I'll be like, how did they get them to sound like that? What is that tone? Like, what kind of frequency range am I hearing more of? What am I hearing less of? Like, do they sound compressed? You know, when I make covers like this, I do oftentimes try to achieve, you know, not only the arrangement of the original, but also the overall production character of the original. On the one hand, it's like, yeah, there's kind of nothing new that I'm bringing to the table when I do this, but it's almost like an etude for me, like an exercise, you know? As somebody who cares a lot about producing music and engineering music as well as performing music, it's a great way for me to practice, you know, trying to get close to something that I think is very successful. The Ziggy Stardust recording is kind of strange in a lot of ways. That, like, there are a lot of things on it that shouldn't sound good, but still do. Like, there's almost no kick drum in the whole darn thing. The bass kind of really dominates the mix, but it's not very defined. The vocal has very little high end in it at all. I'm taking out like 6-7 dB of high end from the vocal in mind to try and emulate that, and yet it works really well, the original. And so this is an opportunity for me to really kind of surgically look at that and try and figure out what I like about it, what works, and if there's anything that different that I want to try and bring to the table, what that might be. Today's probably going to be the last day that I spend working on the video. I've got my buddy Gabe Terracciano coming over a little bit later, who's a dynamite fiddle player. He's going to help me with the string parts in it. We're going to just listen to those and try and figure them out. So I like the up the octave for that. Yeah. I think that was for the bridge part. That was fine.
That was fine. Yeah, no. There was one note.
Yeah, let's find it. Now I've got a mix that I'm pretty much happy with. I've got the string parts finished, and I am sending this mix onto cassette tape here to just give it a little bit of a mastering glue character and to make it just, you know, feel a little more vibey and old-fashioned. So in order to do the tape bounce, I've got 2 1/4 inches coming out of the back of my interface back there. You can see, and then they're going into the line level inputs on the tape machine, and then we record it onto the tape. I'm using National Audio Center blank Type 2 cassettes, 60-minute cassettes that would work really well for me. And then on the back there are outs for each channel, and so I'm just doing it in stereo. So there's 2 outs that are then going back into Pro Tools, and then you can see here down on these 2 channels, this is the bounced version, and it's not as crushed as it looks there, but it definitely does add a layer of compression when you hit the tape. Alright, so I'm hoping to wrap it up this morning. Gabe was in yesterday. He recorded a total of 8 passes on violin to try and simulate the feel of like a 4-part section with 2 on a part, and yeah, did a great job. We recorded him on a ribbon mic. Let's finish it up. And might as well make a little pot of tea here because we're going to be settling in for the long haul of this freaking video edit. Part of the reason I just don't have a lot of patience for doing video is that it takes for gosh darn ever. So the first thing I do is I bring in this this green audio track here, which is just the mix from Pro Tools, because that is my that's what I'm syncing all the video to. It all has to line up perfectly with the Pro Tools session. So then here you can see in these video clips that there is audio waveform that comes from the camera here. So these two are linked together, these two are linked together, and you can see that the audio has to all line up at the exact same place. So this is where that first drum fill comes in, and the way that I line the drums up is, you know, by bringing them into Premiere and then looking at the waveform and making sure that that first hit lines up just so with the first hit from the Pro Tools file. And then we can watch up here. And you're in sync. The first step to editing before you do anything artsy is just making sure that everything is lined up like that. And then here we finally are at the final edited video. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth about the process of the video editing just because I am not really a video editor, and a lot of this stuff is sloppy and it is not exemplary. I've got, let's see, what is this? How did I do this even? I've got color. I've got this 4-color gradient effect over here on it that kind of gives it this like Mardi Gras colors look thing I've got going on. But oftentimes, I mean, my choice of visual effects is just trial and error, and I just see what feels right for the video and, you know, keep trying until I find something that works. So that is that, and the video is now ready to be exported and posted. And that just about wraps it up. Thanks so much for watching, and obviously it's impossible for me to cover everything in the process of making a week-long video in a 10 to 15 minute explanation video. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will try and get to them. If you haven't seen the Starman video, you can click on, I think, the little tab that's going to be up here, and you should be able to check that out on my main channel, as well as a couple other videos that I've done in a similar style that I'll post links to in the description. Thanks. See you soon.
There's a star.